deep to the inguinal ligament and changes its name to external iliac, receiving internal iliac and becoming common iliac. Alright? So femoral is going to be 58, or femoral. Do we have a number for external iliac? Have we numbered it yet? I think we did. And 59 will be external iliac. Okay. We have 2 vessels left. The 2 vessels that are left are superficial veins. So in the upper limb we have the cephalic and basilic with some connecting vessels. We don't worry about any connecting vessels in the lower extremity. And these are called the small and great or lesser and great saphenous or saphenous, how you want to pronounce them. All right. Great saphenous vein is the longest vein in the body. It starts medially, all right, on the instep of the foot near the medial malleolus. So that's over here. And it's going to go all the way up the medial aspect of the leg, thigh, and it's going to empty into the femoral vein about a couple of inches from where it becomes the external iliac vein. Okay? And that is the great saphenous vein. It's just a centimeter or so deep to the skin. This will be number 60. It's often used in coronary bypasses. If you see someone that has an 18-inch long scar on the medial aspect of their knee, they probably had their great saphenous vein removed and used for coronary bypass. If we go back to an image of the entire lower extremity, here is the great saphenous vein. Right up there. Okay? Now, small saphenous vein only goes to the popliteal vein. Right? It's going to start on the lateral ankle. So it doesn't drain the top of the foot very well or the bottom of the foot. But it starts at the lateral ankle. So it is going to start laterally. But then pretty quickly it becomes midline. Now, I can't draw it midline because I already have the posterior tibial vein as midline. This is found, again, just below the skin. So if you were going to dissect a cadaver, it would be within 1 or 2 centimeters, depending on how much adipose tissue is there. Maybe even half a centimeter of the skin, and it would be right in the midline. So what I usually explain to individuals is to how to visualize this, is I'm going to draw it so far off to the side, is back when stockings were worn, and the stockings that were worn were made of silk and not nylon. During World War II, they weren't available. Silk wasn't available because it was used to make parachutes and other material for the war. And so nylon stockings hadn't been developed yet. And when silk stockings were made, they were sewn together. So they had a single seam that was worn in the back. And women who wanted to dress up, or at least look like they had dressed up with stockings and didn't have any, would have their friends take a pen and draw a line up the back of their calf to make it look as if they had the seam from the stockings. And that's where they would draw the line. It was right up the midline of the calf. If you cut through that and open it up the skin, that's right where you would find the small saphenous vein. So even though it starts laterally, and I'm going to keep it lateral until it empties into the popliteal vein, I want you to recognize it's really traveling right here. It would just be superficial to the posterior tibial vein. Okay? So it's going to start laterally like the fibular vein does, but start here and get posterior very quickly. I'm just not drawing it there. And it's going to empty into the popliteal. So if you see any model or diagram that is receiving the small saphenous vein, in fact, I can draw that a solid line just because it'll make it easier to see. It's going to be still the popliteal vein. Okay? So 61 is small saphenous. And I'll show it to you on our wire model. Small or lesser, either term is kosher. So the fibular vein on the wire model is not very long. It's just a piece of wire. So here we have on the right side of the model is the venous system, just like it was in the upper extremity. And this long blue wire here is the great saphenous vein. Okay? Then we have all these wires here. This one is going to be posterior tibial because it's receiving the fibular. Even though the fibular is not as long as it should be, that's how we can tell that this is posterior tibial. Because it's receiving the fibular. This other one then is anterior tibial. And where the two come together is going to be popliteal. Because the popliteal vein is formed by the union of the anterior and the posterior tibial veins. Then that makes this one the small saphenous, and it's draining into the popliteal vein. So if I tag it right there, it has to be popliteal because it's formed by the union of anterior and posterior, and it's receiving the small saphenous. Now somewhere up in here, it's going to change to femoral, okay? But if I tagged it, I would take it way down here or here. I would tag it on